Hey guys, and welcome to another bookish video. Today's video, we're gonna be reading short stories. This is probably like, I feel like I intro these the same way almost every time. I was gonna say I'm so excited, and then I was gonna say I'm probably most excited about this video. I'm just excited to read books, y'all. I am excited for reading. I love to read. So anyway, without babbling for too long in the opening here, I really wanted to do a video where I read short stories, short story collections, things like that. I have some short story collections that I have not read, and I have some short stories that I own that I've never read. So I wanted to do a short story vlog, reading some of those books that I have, because what other time is the better time to read short stories than in a full video of reading short stories? I have a full set of almost mostly all horror. There is one non-horror in here, but we have the short story collection by LaRocca, The Trees Grew Because I Bled There. I mentioned this in the video before, but I have started this book. So I got 104 pages in. I just never finished it. So I do want to finish this. I might go back and reread some of them because I had started this before and it's been a while since I started this short story collection. So LaRocca is like very well regarded in the horror community, especially as a queer LGBT representation. And so I really wanted to read some books from him. I have tried to read things from him before though, and I've not really been for me. So I'm curious to go back into this now that it's been a while since I started it and see if I enjoy this. So we've got this short story collection by LaRocca. And then we have another short story collection called Revenge by Yoko Ogawa. I'm very excited for this one because my sister thinks I'm gonna love this. And I hope she's right because I want to love it. I've heard a lot about this author. They've written quite a few other books. There's a few books that she's written that are very like renowned books, if you will, but none of them are shown in here. Not the ones I'm thinking of. So this might be an older like publishing. Let's see. Yeah, I think this is older, that's why. So this looks like it was from like 1998. So this is one of their like first, it seems, because they've written other books that I've seen people like really, really love. I recently saw someone talking about there's one about memory, like remembering things and like you're not allowed to have certain memories or something like that, they wrote, and I know a lot of people like that one too. So I'm excited to see if I like this. This is, like I said, a short story collection. It's 11 dark tales, all focusing around a host of desperate characters in this eerie cycle of interwoven tales. Excited for that, to see what this is all about. And then another short story that I have that's a horror is A Short Stay in Hell. I've heard a few people talk about this. One person that I know that mentioned this and said she really loved it was Sarah from Possessed by Horror. I love her channel, love all the things she does. I've watched her for a very long time. But she talked about this book in one of her vlogs that she did where she was talking about books that she likes to read or books that she has read that she was like obsessed with. And this is one of those. So I thought I would give it a chance and see what it's about. I know this is following a Mormon, and I believe like he dies and then he finds himself in a dimension where it's a library and he has to find the book of his life. And he can't leave hell until he finds it. Like that's basically what this is supposed to be. So very interested to see what that's all about and what that plays out to be. And then finally, I have Mezzanine. I got this, as I mentioned before, because Books and Lala was recommended this book from a color thing and she was talking about it and she just made me really interested in reading it. One of the things that I was very interested in is that this book has footnotes. And this whole section is a footnote. And it's just like more detail about what's happening and like giving you background information on things. It just sounds like something I would like. I love learning and I have like this vast thing for knowledge. And I also am someone who just like can ramble forever, as y'all probably have witnessed through these videos. The idea of reading someone's inner thoughts and the history behind their thoughts, like, I don't know, bro, this just sounds like it's for me. So I'm excited to read this and see if I actually really enjoy it. Those are our 4 books for this vlog, and I'm hoping for success, major success, giant success. I'm hoping to also finish all of these relatively soon.
You serious?
Today it is Thursday, May 21st. I am off of work Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday, because of Memorial Day weekend. I took off tomorrow because I can, because I'm an adult and I have free will and I have PTO. So I'm hoping that I can use that time over this weekend to really read these books, and like, they're very short. So I'm like, I should be able to read like, if not one of these fully in a day, maybe two of them in a day. Because again, they're super short. They're all less than 200 pages. That's the whole point of a short story. So we're gonna get into this. I'm excited. I'm excited for the horror of it all. So follow along with me. I will come back and update you. I don't know which one I want to start with. That's the one thing I don't know. I feel like I should start off with what I'm the least excited about and end with what I'm most excited about. I think that order would be something along this line. So I think we'll start with Eric, go to A Short Stay, do Revenge, and then finish off with Mezzanine. I think also, unfortunately, that I think that the lowest rated book I'm going to have is going to be the Eric LaRocca, mostly because I'm the least interested in reading it. So I think that it's probably going to hold my interest the least. And I also need to start with this one because I do have the audiobook from my library. So it makes the most sense to start with this one because I already have it. So let's get into it. Let's get going. Let's get reading. Let's stop rambling. Okay. And let's get to it. I'll see y'all with an update shortly. Excuse the audio, but I just finished the first story and it's called You Follow Wherever They Go, and I really liked it. I think time and space, you know? What a concept. Obviously, time has changed in my life, period, and my life has changed since I started reading this book. This first short story is about a son and a father, and a father letting go of his son. And there's some like conversations about parents and children, and obviously as a new mom, I'm like, oh, I can resonate with some of that. So it's very interesting. I think it's sad though, based on what I just read, what I think that story was supposed to be about. Obviously they're short stories, so they don't really give you all of the detail, which I've mentioned before I'm not a huge fan of. The like lingering unknown of the ending of a story, but such is life. So yeah, I think I would give that one, I think 4.5. I think I would give that story a 4.5. I think it would have been a 5 if I had gotten a better understanding of what's happening. I think I know, but I want to know. I don't like unknowns. I want to know the answer. So that's the only thing holding me back, unfortunately, but I really did like that one. I thought it was good. So I'm going to keep reading and I'll come back once I've read a few more of the stories and give you all my thoughts. Sorry again for the terrible sound, but reviewing the last 2 short stories that I read. I read Bodies Are for Burning. That's a fucked up story. Literally just had this conversation about how I'm a mom now, and so everything feels so different when you read stories about kids. and that was a terrible story. That one was about a person named Hannah, I believe. And Hannah has a pyro OCD type of situation. They think about burning things and people, and it's so graphically explained. They're at therapy visiting their doctor, and they're talking about their thought. Dr. Caldwell breath tickles the hairs in my nostrils. I think of pushing the burning end of a lighter against his mouth just to get him to shut up. I imagine his lips, as thin as elastic bands, crisping until black and then sputtering open like exploded grapes left all day in sunlight. And it just gets more and more and more graphic from there. But naturally, there's a little child introduced into that story, and I did like the way that it ended. I'm seeing a pattern with these stories thus far. But for that one, I think I'll also give that one a 4.5, just because part of that story I was really fucked up. And I didn't like it. But yeah. And then the final one that I read is called The Strange Thing We Become. And that story was about two partners, Evie and I don't know if we ever get the narrator's name. They go by Mommy Queerist, which I think is so cute. But they are basically following the story of this couple and how their significant other gets cancer, and just like the process of them having cancer, and it's like written in blog post style. That one was like kind of okay. Like I didn't really love that one as much. I think I'll give that one probably like a 3.5. It wasn't my favorite at all, but it wasn't bad. Like it's still like they are creepy short stories, and I'm slowly remembering some of them. I think the one I stopped on, I believe, is this next story, which is the title of the book. No, I think it's something else. The next one is called The Trees Grow Because I Bleed There. We also have You're Not Supposed to Be Here, which I think that's the one I actually was in the middle of. I know it is. And then we also have Where Flames Burned Emerald as Grass. Finally, I'll Be Gone by Then. Oh, no, there's one more. Please leave or I'm going to hurt you. That's the final story. So we have a few more. So I think I'm going to stop there for tonight though, because it's 10:30 and I would like to go get in bed. Like I said, I'm off tomorrow, so I plan to just spend time reading and hanging out with friends. I guess I could hold you guys. I'll hold you. Let me hold you. I do have a friend who is in town from out of state, so I'll be with her a lot of this weekend, which I'm so excited about. I haven't seen her in 2 years almost. So yeah, I'm very excited to go see her. But in the morning, I don't know when we're going to hang out or when I'm going to be meeting up with her. So in the morning, I plan to edit my video that should be live at this point, which is my manga reading video that I did. It's a short one, nothing too crazy, but I do need to edit that at this point. So you can watch that one here after this video if you haven't. And then I think I'm going to edit that video, and then I'm just going to read until it's time for my daughter to leave daycare. And depending on what's going to happen with my friend, I may take her to my mom's and let her hang out with my mom, or potentially just take her with me and go hang out at my friend's house. So I'm going to go to bed because it's going to be, I anticipate, a long day. So I want to go to bed, kind of get snuggled up. I think I'm gonna I started rewatching Heated Rivalry. I love that show so much, you guys. I don't know. I've really been trying to think about and pinpoint like what it is about that show specifically that is just like, it feels so comforting. And like my sister and I talked about it, and I think we both like agree that it's just like, it's getting to see queer love in a happy way, because unfortunately a lot of queer stories that are like mainstream queer stories in movies, shows, books, they're always so tragic, and they always end so tragic most of the time. So seeing something like Heated Rivalry, which is just like literally two people falling in love, technically four people falling in love with each other and like living their life and being happy, and and the music from that show, they did such a good job with the soundtrack for that show. I cannot wait for season 2. I don't know that it's going to be the same feeling that season 1 is, but I'm very excited for it. So all that to say, I'm going to go watch Heated Rivalry until I fall asleep, which is what I did last night. I fell asleep in the middle of episode 2. I was just so happy. Just like watching them be so happy with each other. Like, I love it. It's so good. If you haven't seen Heated Rivalry, big warning if you're not someone who wants to see sex on screen, then that's not the show for you. There are people who don't like that stuff, and that is totally okay. Don't watch Heated Rivalry. Helps ever. If you don't care about sex on screen, and keep in mind, there's about at least one sex scene per episode. So just be prepared if you don't want to see that. But if you don't care and you want to see queer love living its best life, you should watch Heated Rivalry. I promise you, you will love it. And if you don't love it, don't know what's wrong with you. I cannot tell you what's wrong with you. I do have a psychology degree, but I don't know what's the matter with you. Anyway, I'm gonna go. I will catch up with y'all tomorrow, and we'll read some more short stories. I'm so excited. I'm enjoying this a lot more than I thought I would. So I'm glad. I remember some of these stories now too. And I'm like, yeah, I was enjoying them. I think the one story that I left off on, I think that one was a little slow for me. And that's why I wasn't enjoying it. So, but I'm hoping that because I have the audiobook, I can like tandem read this with the audiobook, and that like will help pick up the pace of that section of the book that I was like not really loving. Maybe that'll help. But also maybe, again, time and space, y'all. Time and space. The only thing I don't love about this book is this faux sticker talking about it being introduced by Chuck Wendig. And like, that's so cool. Congrats. Love Chuck. Great. I don't like the way that looks. I wish that we could have like incorporated it a little less aggressively, but that's just my opinion. Like, I wish we could have put this new introduction thing like down here at the bottom and like kind of like let it blend in a little bit, or even just moved the circle down here to the bottom instead of it being like, it just throws off the balance of the book. I don't like it being right there, but that's just a me thing. Oh, I didn't know this was blurb by Philip Fracassi. I like their writing. They're like pretty much the only person blurbed on here that I've read from though. I think I have a book from Chuck Wendig, but I haven't read it yet. Maybe that's an author taste test I can do, is reading Chuck Wendig for the first time. Is Chuck Wendig the author for The Staircase in the Woods or whatever that one was called? Because if so, I already have that book and I need to read it. Yeah, we're going to have to do an author taste test for Chuck Wendig. Maybe I can do that next month. Spoilers for next month. I'm planning to do a full month of reading queer books or books written by queer authors in celebration of Pride Month, because I love a Pride Month. I love all things queer. As a queer myself, I love queer things. So I very much want to like dedicate all of my videos in June, if I can, to queer authors or queer stories. So that's something I plan to do next month. I really messed up this month though, because unbeknownst to me, I've been reading a lot of queer books. Like, this is one. I have another one for my Twisted Retreat vlog. And then I read The Beheading Game, which was a queer story as well. So I've just been like unknowingly reading queer stories this whole month, which I'm totally fine with because I love doing that anyway. But I just wished I had known when I was planning what I'm planning for next month, because then I could have put all of these in there. So I feel like I'm like reading all the queer books that I have, and I'm like, dang, I don't really have that many left. But anyway, I'm gonna go. I will talk to y'all in the morning. Peace. On my reading thus far of The Trees Grew Because I Bled There. First of all, it is Saturday. I did not get to read any of this yesterday like I had hoped. I ended up spending time with my friend. She came in town from out of state, and I just spent time with her instead of doing other things. So I've been reading this afternoon. I spent the morning cleaning my house and organizing things, and I just put my daughter down for a nap. So I was like, all right, let's crack out these books and get them read. So I've been reading this. I have officially read 3 stories since the last time we spoke. So I've read The Trees Grew Because I Bled There, and that one was very interesting. Essentially, we're following 2 characters, and one of the characters is like giving all of himself to another character, quite literally. And it's just a very interesting tale. It was kind of vague, and it was kind of just like, yeah, this thing's happening and blah, blah, blah. Honestly, I would probably give that one like 3.5. You're Not Supposed to Be Here was the next story, and I ended up giving that one, well, that one was about a family who runs into, it's 2 men and their son or daughter, I can't remember. I think it's their son. And they're having a picnic in a park, and this couple comes up to them and they're like, hey, I feel like I know you. I feel like I met you before. Aren't you my pen pal? And they were like, what? And they were like, you shouldn't have come here. You're not supposed to be here, something like that. And they make them play a game because they end up doing something to this couple. And they're like, in order to get this thing back that you're missing, you have to play this game. And they're like, we don't want to play a game. And they're like, you don't have a choice but to play the game. And so they have to play this game of basically telling their worst secrets. And it was very interesting. I think that's the story I stopped on last time I was reading this, because at the time, like, it starts out very slow and you're just kind of like, what's happening? I don't understand. And then it just like blows up all of a sudden. So You're Not Supposed to Be Here. I would give that one probably like a 4.5. That one's pretty good, and it reminds me of some movies that I've watched that I've liked in the past. Very interesting story. And then the final one I just read is Where Flames Burned Emerald as Grass. That one was interesting. It's about a father and daughter who are on a vacation, and his daughter gets a splinter, and this gentleman comes out of nowhere to help them, and he basically tells our main character that he is clairvoyant and that he can know the future. And he's like, what? And so he like explains something like the future that he sees for him and his daughter, and he's like, I don't believe you. And we get to kind of like see how that plays out and whether this man is clairvoyant or not and all of that. That one was also pretty good. I would probably give that one 4 stars, because I was like, honestly, for a minute there I was confused, like, what are we doing, what's going on? And then obviously as it wraps up I was like, oh my gosh, crazy pants. So very interesting. I now have 2 stories left to go. I have You'll Be Gone By Then and Please Leave or I'm Going to Hurt You. So I'm gonna finish those 2, and then I'll come back and give you my ratings for those, and then we'll decide what the final rating for this entire book was, and we'll start on another book after that, because we got 4 books to read today. I'm not doing nothing else this afternoon but reading. I'm gonna sit my happy little butt on this couch and read these books. So I'm gonna read the next 2 stories, and then I'll come back and give y'all my update. Yuck. I'm so sorry, but yuck. I'm so sorry, but yuck. Mm-mm. 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 No. Mm-mm. No. Okay. I'll Be Gone By Then. We're following a child and their mother, grown child, elderly mother, and the child is now going to be taking care of their mother. She's elderly, and she's an old Jewish woman, and there's like some racism stuff in there with like self-hate type of things with the child, and like talking about how he wasn't able to put his writings in like a certain paper because they were like, well, your last name is too foreign. Just gross, nasty nonsense. But like, he hates himself so much that he hates his mother in return because of the hate of the world. And it was just so sad. But the way that the story goes, it was just like, meh. I'm gonna end up giving that one a 2.5. And then the final story was Please Leave or I'm Going to Hurt You. And that's about a son and his father, and his son loving his father in more than a fatherly way. And his father's elderly and he's dying. And he finally like tells his father how he feels about him. It's yuck, y'all. I'm so sorry. Nothing like untoward physically happens, but like, I'm so sorry. This kid was like, I think about what our lives could have been if he wasn't my father and we had just met as like people in passing or something like that. I'm just like, yuck. I'm so sorry, but yuck. I can't. Nope, yuck. Because of how yuck that one was for me, it was a 2-star. The story wasn't even all that enthralling to me. It was just gross. So those last two didn't do it for me. I'm gonna have to tally up all the little ratings that I gave because I don't remember what I gave all of them. I didn't write it down. And I'll come back, or I'll put it on the screen, what my final rating of the short story collection is. I did like some of these. I ended up liking some of these more than I anticipated that I would. I enjoyed the descriptiveness of it all in some of the stories, like crazy descriptions of like body horror, and I loved that. So I did like that. But yeah, I think it was pretty good. I mean, I have more LaRocca to read this month and potentially next month, so it's not the end. We got more coming in the future. It's time to read our next short story, which is going to be A Short Stay in Hell. I'm so excited to get this one going, so I'm not going to sit here and yip yap for too long. I'm just going to go ahead and get into it because we're behind, we're delayed, we need to get going. So I'm going to go ahead and read, and I'll be back when I'm, I don't know, maybe halfway, if not finished. I'll let y'all know. All right. I have to stop saying certain things when I'm making these videos. I have to stop saying certain things when I'm making these videos. For one, starters, point A. I have to stop talking about the fact that I'm going to be able to do something in a certain amount of time because it's not working out for me this month. And so I have to stop saying it. We still have 3 short stories to get through. I have been reading A Short Stay in Hell, but I am only on page 70, and we still have 20 pages to go. I need to finish this. There's no reason it should be taking me this long, but the reason it is taking me this long, let me say, is that this story, not for me. All you people who are like, this is so horrifying, this is so scary. Girl, where? I'm not scared. This is a book for people who question faith, who are uncertain of what life after death looks like, and this is someone's version of that. And it's not, truly in my opinion, not that disturbing or crazy, at least as of where I'm at right now. But again, I'm 70 pages in to a 100-page book. So I don't think that this is like anything crazy in my opinion. So I'm very disappointed and disillusioned with this book, to be honest with you. And that's why it's taken me 3 days to read an 100-page book, because it's not interesting to me. And I don't think that it's very good. And that makes me sad because I heard a lot of people talk about like how great this book is and how like amazing this little novella was, and technically a short story, I believe. And it's just not doing it for me. It's just not giving what I thought it should have given. Gave? I don't know. I'm going to finish it, and I'll see if I change my tune in the next 20 pages, but your girl's not feeling it. I can tell you that much. And then we still have these 2 to read. We've got another short story collection, and then we've got the mezzanine. So we still have 2 books to get through. It is Monday. This video should have gone up yesterday. So we're way behind, but this month I've been behind all month. I'm taking it with a grain of salt, and I'm just gonna do what I do and fit it where it fits and post it when it posts, and it's just gonna be what it is. And that's that. I do want to try and finish I'm going to finish this one today. I'm about to finish it in just a minute. And I want to get at least halfway through this one today because, again, it's already Monday. I would like to be done with all of these books before Wednesday because we still have our Twisted Retreat books to read, girl. But the positive note of our Twisted Retreat books is I have audiobooks for both of the ones I'm planning to read from my library. So that will help us speed through those books and be able to read when I can't sit down and physically read. It's been a busy, busy weekend. My best friend came into town from out of state. I've said that like 70 times in this video already. But then I spent time with family yesterday, and then today I've been spending time with family, and so I've just not been reading. I do feel like I'm burning myself out in a sort of way this month, and I think it's just in the sense that like I'm reading books that I'm not all of that interested in, to be honest, and I think I'm just trying to read too many books in a certain amount of time. So I'm definitely making changes next month. It's just going to be what it is. I think I'll probably do 2 videos next month where I read more than one book, and then the other 2 to 3 videos are going to be me reading a singular book in one video, just because I feel like I'm doing too much and I need to figure out the balance, especially with balancing it with my own personal life and getting to do things other than just reading. It works out when there's nothing else going on, so then I can just sit and read forever. But I think potentially I need to be more fluid with my plans for reading. I think instead of talking about necessarily like, these are my rigid plans, I think I'm going to come up with general concepts for the month and just tell y'all like these books would fit into these concepts, and then we'll see what we get to in those actual videos, because I think I'm just locking myself too much into like a set plan when I don't know how things are going to play out in the month. People get sick, plans change, stuff changes, life is ever fluid and ever moving, and I need to allow my like reading to be the same way. So I'm about to go read finish up Short Stay in Hell, start on Revenge, and we'll see how far we get while my daughter's taking her nap. And then tonight I'm going back to my parents' house because my sister's making birria tacos, and I'm so excited. I love a birria taco, so I'm excited to go and have those with them, and I won't be reading while I'm there. Probably. I highly anticipate I'm not going to be reading. I'm just going to be spending time with my family. So I'll give y'all an update. Oh, I guess to tell you about this book more deeply, we're following Soren. Soren dies. And he dies with a bunch of other people, and they go to hell. But hell isn't what we think it is. I think this book is made with the ideal of Judeo-Christianity being the like main religion that most people follow, and this being like, yeah, that's not what hell is, and that's not what God is, and like you die and you come to hell and you're like, dang, my Mormonism, my Christianity, my Catholicism, none of those things were the thing. The thing that is the thing is something I've never heard of before, and I don't know if it's made up or if it's true, but regardless, they basically put people in different versions of hell based on what they need to have learned or need to have solved, from what I can tell at least. And so Soren goes to a hell where it's just a bunch of books, and the premise is you have to go find the book that perfectly fits exactly your life. No changes, no edits, no audits. It's exactly what your life was. No frills, no fluff, no exaggerations. It's just what your life is. And then you take that book and you put it in a slot, and then you're out of hell. That's what they're telling us. So far, that hasn't happened in the 70 pages that I'm reading, so I don't know if it's going to happen in the next 20 pages, but it's very interesting. I think it is about like more existentialism and about like the concept of not really knowing what comes next and what really matters and how can we determine that these things did or didn't matter. And, you know, like there's a character who was a vegetarian, and she's talking about like what was the point of all of that? What was the point of being a vegetarian if at the end of the day it didn't matter? Like the things that I did didn't matter. What was the point of being a good Mormon boy if at the end of the day Mormonism isn't even the thing, so none of the things I did even matter? I'm not going to the celestial kingdom. I'm not going to have my whole my family and my wife in my kingdom where I was supposed to be a god. Like, that's not what's happening to me. So, like, what was the point of all of it? What does it even mean? I think it's very interesting. I think that I'm past this version of life after death and religion, in my opinion. I guess to just be blunt about who I am, I don't have a religion. I'm not a religious person. I am not really someone who has a faith or any of that stuff. I wouldn't consider myself atheist. I wouldn't consider myself agnostic. I don't know. I don't, I don't know what label to put on it. I just don't believe in anything, really. And that's not to say that you shouldn't believe in something. I feel this is so much deeper than it needed to be. But I feel like, for me personally, I envy people who are religious and who have faith and who have spirituality, whatever you want to call it, whatever the thing is that you follow. I do envy those people because I don't have that. And there is a lightness to those people, generally speaking, and there is a ease of life and a happiness that they have, something that they can turn to help them feel more at peace with things and to have more balance with things. And I just don't necessarily have that, which I think leads to me having a lot of depressive moments and having a lot of existential crises and thinking about life after death and what is the point of it all. And I'm a big thinker, y'all. Your girl be thinking way too much. And because I don't have a religion or a faith that tells me what those answers are, I am in a forever loop of so what is it? What is the thing? Obviously, being raised in the South in a Christian country, state, nation, whatever you want to call it, a predominantly Christian space, I do have a lot of my belief systems still fall within some Christian ideologies, in the sense that I do believe in certain morals and things like that, but I also just generally believe be a good person, try to do as much good as you can in the world, and you're gonna mess up and you're gonna make mistakes, but we're all human beings and no one's perfect. That's the whole point of it all, and we're all here to learn, and we only have one life to live, and we live it and we see how it goes, I don't know, man. I don't have a deep meaning philosophical thing about life and death and spirituality and what made us and what we go to. I don't have all that. So saying all that to say, maybe that's why this book doesn't really hit the way that maybe it's hitting some other people. But again, I'm not finished. So let me stop yip-yapping, talking out the side of my neck. Let me finish these 20 pages and we'll see what happens. We'll see where we go. So let's jump into it. Girl, y'all, what the fuck was this? What the fuck was this? I finished the last 20 pages of whatever the fuck this was. I'm sorry for my language, but girl, be serious, be for real, be so for real. What is this? To all the people who hyped this book up as the most disturbing short story horror that they've ever read, I need to know about your life. I need to know what your life is like. I need to know the life that you have lived. I need to know so much about you to understand why this was so disturbing to you and what I'm missing in me, that this was this, it's 100 pages. If you want to read it, go for it. I'm mad I bought this. I'm mad that I paid money for this. I'm mad. Are there parts of this that are sad? Yeah. Duh. Is it worth it? It's 100 pages. So I feel girl, read 100 pages if you want to. Do it if you want to. What I'm going to tell you is, for me, if I could go back in time, I would not read this book. I don't like this book. Is it bad writing? No. Is it a story? Yes. Is it good to me? No. No, it wasn't. I I struggle to know how to even rate this, because what even is it? No. I feel like giving it a 2 is really generous. I feel like this is going to be like probably my only 1 star of my entire year. This was not good. It took me 3 days to read this 100-page book. Not because I was actively trying to read it for 3 days, but you know what I mean? Because I didn't want to read it, because it wasn't good. I will say there are free audiobooks of each chapter on YouTube. So if you want to hear it read on YouTube, go find it. You don't have to buy this. I will tell you though that it wasn't worth it. This was not good. This was so ungood to me. And I can't pinpoint why, like I can't give you an exact reason why, because that would give away the entire, you know what? I actually don't care. I'm going to tell you exactly what this book was about, because I don't care. If you want to read this, then you need to fast forward until I'm not holding this book anymore. I'm going to spoil this whole book because it's 100 pages of BS. Soren's Mormon. He dies. He goes to hell. There's 6 other people in the room with him when he gets to hell. He meets a demon. The demon says, you picked the wrong religion. That's why you're here. The real religion is Zionism something. It doesn't even matter. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't matter. And we don't get any explanation of what that religion is. The true religion is something. And every person goes to their own version of hell. Don't know what everybody else's are, just know what his is. His is that he gets pushed into this library that goes on for eons and light years of time. Like a plethora of eons and light years of time. So much time. And it's full of billions, gajillions, gazillions. The number doesn't exist because it's so infinite amount of books. And you're supposed to find one book. It's like the needle in a haystack analogy, except imagine that the needle is also hay colored and is like the size of a pen. Like a pen dot. You know what I'm saying? Imagine the needle is a little ball inside of a ballpoint pen, and the hay is filling up the entirety of 70 houses. Like that's like, it's so finite that you're never going to find it. You're never, ever, ever going to find it. Because the other issue is people were taking the books off the shelves. They were throwing the books over the railing. Every morning, the books are back. They put the books back on the shelf every morning. Every morning, the books go back where they came from. So you can't even empty all the books to find the book that you're looking for. Hardly anyone has found a book that was full on, like a full book. Most of them are just gibberish symbols and numbers. They have no meaning. They have no words. Some people were finding books that had like a singular sentence in them. One book that was found had like 2 sentences that actually made sense in one book, and he had never seen a book with that much strewn together wording that actually made sense. Because he's Mormon, he had his forever wife, and so he had a really hard time adjusting to that concept and that strategy and that idea. And then he found someone named Rachel, and he fell in love with Rachel, and he was with Rachel for 1,000+ years. And him and Rachel had the best life ever. They loved each other so much. And then one day there was a guy who decided that he was going to be the god of hell, and so he said that God told him that he was his whatever speaker person, and that he was going to, the way to get through hell is that all these people had to inflict pain upon someone over and over and over and over and over again to like help satisfy God, that you had to make hell the helliest place for whatever person that you were in charge of. And those people caught him and Rachel said, I'm out, and jumped over the railing. And she was gone before they could catch her. And he was like, I watched her fall until I couldn't see her falling anymore because she fell so far. He gets captured by these people and he gets beaten to death over and over and over again for a month. And every month he's able to be awake for 6 seconds, 2 seconds to recognize where he's at, 4 seconds to think of a plan. It takes him a month to figure out a plan where he finally can figure out that he needs to roll away as soon as he wakes up. So he rolls away as soon as he wakes up. The guy's like, oh, you did it. Go meet the God guy. So he goes, meets the deity person. The guards walk away for like 2.7 seconds, and then they're being gone because he's been able to think so fast in 6 seconds every time he's alive. Because also the other thing is, sorry, I skipped this part. You don't die. Every day you go to sleep and you wake up brand new. If you hurt yourself, if you're injured, whatever, as long as you die, you'll come back the next day whole. If you don't die, you'll come back the next day still in whatever state you're in. So if you lose an arm, your arm's going to be off. If you break a leg, your leg's going to be broken until you die. But when you die, you come back alive. Just like the books get put back, you get put back. All the time he was coming back to life, he was able to think really fast. And so when the guards walked away from the guy, him and the guy flew over the railing. He took him over the railing, and they fought each other a bunch over the railing.
until eventually the guy was falling away from him and he was falling away from him. And then he finds out eventually that he like tries to maneuver himself through the railings that he's falling through. He's going about 120 miles an hour, free falling. And so he breaks his arms, he breaks his legs, he breaks his back, all these things until he finally like is able to like die and come back and fit through the gap. There's an 8-foot gap between the railing and the ceiling of the floor above. He falls through the gap, finds a person, meets a person, whatever. He ends up figuring out from somebody in this place that can do really good math that the place is a gazillion, bajillion, fajillion, quadrillion, all of the thing, aliens in an infinite number of floors and an infinite number of books. So much so that you would have to fall for eons to get to the bottom of the, like multiple eons to get to the bottom. These people live forever. They don't die. I don't know how old Soren is at the end of this book, but I think based on what he says, he's like a bajillion eons old or something. I don't fucking know. Either way, he finds some woman when he's falling again because he jumps over the rail again once he figures that out at some point because he's trying to find Rachel. He's been trying to find Rachel this whole time. He never finds her, by the way. But he finds other women and he has sex with other women. Well, it doesn't matter. He falls over the rail again. Eventually one day he sees a woman falling over the rail after he had stopped and had some food and everything. He sees her falling, so he jumps after her. They catch up with each other. They have sex in the air. They have sex twice in the air before they try to like maneuver back into the things. And he's like, I will come back to you if we get separated. They get separated. He never finds her again. Never finds her again, falls again until he gets to the bottom. Killing himself over and over again every day until he finally gets to the bottom where he doesn't care about anything. He cares about no one. He cares about nothing. There's nothing up here anymore because he's been doing this for so long that all he cares about is trying to find this book. And that he hopes that eventually, because he's trying so hard and because he's doing the thing, that eventually he'll get out of hell. That's this book. What is that? Stupid. Nonsense. It's nothing. It's nothing, you guys. It's nothing. 1 star. I'm moving on. I need something better. My sister said Revenge is going to be my favorite book. I'm about to go ham on reading it. I'll come back to y'all when I'm in a better mood because that book pissed me off. Because that's bullshit. Fuck that book. Oh, I've never been so annoyed by a book in my life. And it's only 100 pages. But it's 100 pages of nothing. Nothing. Anyway, I'll be back. Hello, what's up, nerds? Wanted to update you on Revenge by Yoko Ogawa, but I also wanted to show you that I got a new book from Twisted Retreat today. This is the May 2026 book from Twisted Retreat. I love this cover. This is actually the alternative book sleeve that they gave, and I loved this one. I like the colors. The green is just, it's very my aesthetic, but original way that it came was this cover, which is fine. Like, it's cute, I guess. It's just, this is more me. It's more my vibe. I'm pretty sure Dom from Dom's Book Den, I'm pretty sure recently talked about this book, that she had read this. I'm trying to remember. Maybe I'm misremembering. Maybe I am misremembering. No, she did. Okay, that's what I thought. She read this and she really liked it. I remember seeing this cover and I was like, I'm pretty sure she talked about liking this book pretty much. That she thought it was like a good book for people to read. Looking at her review, she did give it 4 stars, so I like that about it. But I like this cover better than the like original. This one's the original cover, which makes sense why they did the like pinkish hues on there. But I do like this alternative, and I think it goes better with the sprayed edges as well. But this book is following Lady Catherine and Maggie. Maggie from Ireland during the potato blight. Her entire family and the man she trusted with her heart have been lost. toiling in the Ennis workhouse for poultry rations. She can see no future either within or outside its walls until the mysterious Lady Catherine arrives to whisk her away to an old mansion in the stark limestone landscape of the Barren. Lady Catherine wants Maggie to impersonate her late daughter, Wilhelmina, and hoodwink solicitors into releasing Wilhelmina's widow pension so that Lady Catherine can continue to provide for the villagers in her care. In exchange, Maggie will receive freedom from the workhouse, land of her own, and the one thing she wants more than a chance to fulfill the promise she made to her brother on his deathbed to live to spite them all. Launching herself into the daunting task, Maggie plays the role of Wilhelmina as best as she can while ignoring the villagers' tales of ghostly figures and curses. But more worrying are the whispers that come from within. Something in Lady Catherine's house is reawakening long-buried memories in Maggie, of a foe more terrifying than hunger or greed, of a power that calls for blood and vengeance, and of her own role in the nightmare that demands the darkest sacrifice. Sounds really good. It's a Irish folk horror is what I remember hearing about it, obviously based on the synopsis as well. So I'm very excited to read this one. I actually am glad that I got this version for this from Twisty Retreat. In other bookish news, revenge. I am on page 28. I did not get nearly as far as I wanted to. This book is 160 pages, so I got quite a bit to go, 140 pages to be exact. So I'm going to try and finish this one tonight, and then we will move on to the mezzanine, potentially. I might end up saving this. It also kind of works because then it would just be a short story horror edition from everything I've read, because everything I've read so far has been horror. So we might just stop with this one, especially because it's Tuesday evening already. I thought that I was able to get an audiobook for this and was not actually able to get the audiobook for it. So I'm going to have to continue physically reading it, which is fine. I love physically reading. I just don't have the time for it, unfortunately. But I'm going to make the time for it tonight. So we're going to go back and read this. But so far, I am on chapter, I think, 3. Yes, I'm on chapter 3 so far. And so far, the first 2 stories that I've read have intertwined in a way, which is really interesting. The first 2 stories have like a little bit of an overlap, but not in the way you would expect. And I'm starting to see that the third story has an overlap with the second story. So it seems like they all have some kind of overlap in some way. So I don't really want to review this one the same way that I did the Eric LaRocca, because I feel like these stories aren't necessarily standalone. I feel like this is one I do have to evaluate as a whole and not on its individual story. Homst ever. The first story that I read was called Afternoon at the Bakery. Y'all, that was a wild story. We're following a woman. She's at a bakery. She's wanting to get some strawberry shortcake for her son for his birthday. And she's just waiting on the cake lady to show up so that she can order the cake that she wants for her son's birthday. But there's a twist that I wasn't expecting, but then the twist gets weird and creepy. This is called Revenge, so I really thought that this was going to be more of like revenge stories, but it doesn't seem like it's playing out to be exactly revenge stories as much as they are just stories of like weird, scary, dark things. So I am enjoying it thus far. So far I've read Afternoon at the Bakery, and then the second one was Fruit Juice. That one wasn't really all that creepy as much as it was just weird, and it didn't really make a whole lot of sense, which is why, again, I'm not trying to judge them one short story at a time. I want to judge them as a whole, because Fruit Juice felt like there was more to it, to the story, and so did the first one. So I want to get through the whole thing to see if they like fully like come full circle or not, to then give my like review on it. So far I am liking this though. It is just like enough spooky, and it's not super like boring. The way that it's written too, I love that it's jumping from like future and past in some stories to like keep the narrative interesting. So that's been really fun. So anyway, that's my update on Revenge. I am going to go plop my little butt down somewhere and read, and then I will come back. I'm going to try and come back after I finish the whole thing and give y'all an update then, and then wrap up this vlog. I think I've just convinced myself that we're going to save Mezzanine for another time. Just for the sake of time and getting this video out, I need to get it done because I have one more video that I still need to make that should be coming out on Sunday that's going to be a little late, which I think is fine because next week is a little long, so I can just push it to next Wednesday instead of Sunday, but want to get that out soon. So anyway, hope you guys are having a great week so far. I hope you all had a good Memorial weekend, and yeah, I'm gonna go
finish reading, and I'll come back and give you an update when I have one. All right, hello. I've officially finished Revenge by Yoko Ogawa. If I'm being really honest with you, I have no idea what I read. With a cover like this, I was expecting more. I was expecting more graphic, more horrifying stories. And I feel like what I got was mildly unsettling. Some stories were crazy, but most of them were just kind of like, okay. I was right that these stories were intertwined, so I'm glad that I didn't start rating them one at a time. They do like all weave and intertwine with each other. So I was glad that I was able to wait and not like rate each individual story. But again, with that, as a whole, I don't know, y'all. I'm kind of sad. I really thought this was going to be more exciting and more interesting. Like, it was good. I read it. I read the whole thing. I enjoyed it. I guess I like look at this cover and tell me that you don't expect like every story to be some kind of unsettling, dark, creepy, weird story. And for me, only like 3 or 4 of them were really like dark, unsettling, and creepy. Some were just like, okay stories, and others were like very much like, oh my gosh stories. So yeah, I don't know. Again, I think there's 11 stories in here, and I would say that like 4 of them I was like, whoa. The others that were just stories. I did like that they all like had some way of interweaving with each other. Literally every story had some kind of overlap. Some of them were an overlap of characters, some were an overlap of places, some were an overlap of objects. So I thought that was really, really cool that they were like interwoven but not one full story, if that makes sense. I do believe too, and I may be misremembering because it's taken me way too long to read the short story collection, but I do believe we don't really learn a lot of people's names in this. A lot of the stories are told from the like I perspective. I did this and I saw that and I said this to this man and this boy or this woman and this girl. We don't really learn a lot of people's names. I think there's maybe like 2 times that we hear a character name, and one of those times it's just like an announcement, and so that's how we know the character's name, presumably. So yeah, I don't know, I thought it was well enough good. I feel bad because this book was borrowed from my sister, and she really thought that I would love this and that it would be everything for me, and it just, I don't know, I wanted more horror from it. I can't get over, I did judge this book by its cover. And I think the alternative cover that it has with like the original work, because this is a translated work, I do believe. And I think the original cover more accurately, like it's more colorful. From what I saw on Fable, the cover is a little bit more colorful. And so for me, it just makes it like, oh, okay, like I don't know, this cover really makes me feel like something crazy is about to go down in this book. It's also called Revenge, and there's nothing revengey about this book, which is also weird. I don't understand why the title. I feel like I need to like do some kind of research into this book to better understand why it was called Revenge and to better understand the premise of it. Because like I said, there are some like interwoven stories, some with similar characters. And so like the last story that I read, it interweaves with another story in the book, and it didn't make any sense to me. I was confused, and I'm still confused. So I don't know. I don't really know, y'all. I think I'm probably going to give this a 3. It was just kind of
run-of-the-mill short story horror collection. I don't think that it was anything like super awesome for me. I think the writing is beautiful. I will say that. I do think the way that Yoko Ogawa wrote this was like really, really beautiful. It was really well done. I liked how entertained I was. There was only like maybe 2 stories where I was like, okay, let's get to the point. Like, I'm bored. But for the most part, it was just very well done. It was very well written. I just feel like I don't know what I read. To be fully honest, I don't understand the connections with that. And maybe that's a literacy issue on my end. But I do think I'm going to like look into this story and look into this book to kind of get a better understanding of what I might be missing. And yeah, that's Revenge by Yoko Ogawa. And that wraps up the short story novella vlog. Yeah. We didn't get to read the mezzanine just yet, but that's okay. I want to read it. I'm going to read it eventually. It just didn't happen in this video, and that's okay. I think I need to wrap this up. I don't think I know. I need to wrap this video up so I can get this edited and get it out. The next video coming out is my 4th episode of Twisted Retreat, and I'm very, very excited for it. I do have 2 books that I've picked that I think are going to be like really good. At least I'm hopeful that they're going to be really good. I'm really excited to jump into that video right after this and get started on those. I do have audiobooks for the 2 books that I'll be reading for that vlog, so I'm very excited for that. That was a ramble. This is a wrap on this video. Thank you guys so much for being here, for sitting around with me while I take 7 weeks to read short stories that should take you a day. That's mom life for sure. That's like a true testament to mom life, because sometimes it takes a long time. My work's also been a little bit more crazy lately, and so I think that also plays into some of that and why it took me a little bit longer, because I was only able to read after work, and when I'm done with work, that means that I also have to take care of my child, and I have to make dinner and all of these other things before I can start my reading for the evening. So I haven't been starting reading until like 7 o'clock, and I've been really tired because work's really kicking my butt lately. So it is what it is. It took as long as it needed to take, and that's all right. It's not a competition. It's not a race. The only person I'm racing against is myself. Here it is. Here's what we got. This was the vlog. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please don't forget to give this video a like. If you're not subscribed, you should subscribe, because it's very it's cringe that you're still watching this and you haven't subscribed to the channel. Everyone's doing it. You should just join in. This is a cult, so please participate. It's mandatory. Okay? Thank you guys so much for being here, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Bye.